Welcome to Manhood 2, a safe space where men get to share their wisdom, their knowledge, but most importantly, their truth. I'm so excited this morning. I know I say that every beginning of every episode that I'm so excited because I'm so excited on Mondays because it's Man Convo Monday. And I always have one of the most intelligent Black men on this podcast. And today is no different. Today I have Mr. Alfuquan Hardy. Alfuquan Hardy, a certified life coach, educator, speaker, and community organizer, better known as Mr. Al Hardy or Mr. Black Men Are Dope. Alfuquan is known for his inviting and welcoming approach to teaching and coaching, where he has been trained by the Jurian Institute research-based study of gender-based learning. He is also a trained facilitator in strength deployment inventory, SDI, which focuses on conflict awareness, management, and resolution. Al's coaching and development style is based on 3 points of emphasis approach, which is self awareness, learning and knowing yourself, self love, being comfortable in loving who you are and what you were created to be, and movement, walking in faith and moving towards your goals. Alpha Kwan believes these three approaches are the keys to a better life, which ultimately are the formula and medicine for the soul. Hey, Al, how are you?
Hey, how's everything, Trey? I want to say thank you for this opportunity. We've been trying to, get it together for a minute. I know you've been busy. You've been busy and booked, and I've been, working and just trying to run a business, run a recreation center, run some coaching. So it's been busy and being a father, and just a lot. But it's been great.
Good, good. So, welcome this morning. I mean, this is just like a candid conversation where I just believe that we can only learn about Black men from Black men. We can only learn the truth. We can only learn from the human side because so many times I believe that as soon as Black men are born, it's a boy, and then you guys are no longer human. Y'all are just male, and all of these
Mm.
expectations are bombarded on you guys. And then we go in and wonder why we can't have healthy relationship with you guys. So the first thing I always ask my guests is tell me a little bit about your blueprint. Tell me about your mother and tell me about your father.
Um, so I mean, you know my parents, so but uh, uh, I'm blessed. I'm truly blessed. My mom, she's Dr. Cheryl Hardy. I call her Ma, but but she's a therapist, counselor. But more than that, she's my mom. And I've seen her go through the process of how she went. Like when I was in high school going into college, that's when she was going into college. So so I've seen her, just pivot, as people would say now, just go from transform and transition from getting her bachelor's to her master's to two doctorates. So she's definitely a dope woman, a dope Black woman. But she's just a source of wisdom, a source of a pillar of wisdom. When and the crazy thing is she likes to come and talk to me, but I like to listen to her. So that's a great thing. Then my father is a pastor, Addison Hardy. He's executive pastor in Irvington, but he's also a CPA. But even beyond that, that's my dad. Playing, like, teaching me how to play the fundamentals of basketball and using that as a transferable skill on how to leadership, teaching me about leadership, teaching me about just understanding the process of things, going from point A to B to C. My father, he's very fundamental in his way and in his thinking. So he's very processed. So it's a great balance of both. And I've just come from a solid foundation.
You really do. Like, listen, we don't know in the inner city, I'm gonna say, and from my standpoint of growing up, I don't know many Black men that come from a two-parent home, and I'm sure
Mm,
there are a lot of two-parent homes, but that is not an environment that a lot of us come from. And
mhm,
sometimes people think that coming from a two-parent home is all gravy. Al got it made. So, is
mhm.
there a pressure of coming from a two-parent home of that longevity of being in a marriage? is there a pressure on you to some degree of, oh no, like I really have to excel in that area?
Oh man, yes, definitely. It's I mean, I come from a Pentecostal church background, and so I've seen two parent homes in the church in the church setting, but sometimes it was still dysfunctional. Um, and but the pressure is that when your parents, they if they like, let's just say like my mom is a doctor, my father is a pastor, he was an elder at the time, CPA, good job. So the pressure is that you are not able to necessarily make mistakes, be a child, you know. And I would say for me, I kind of masked that throughout my adolescent years. But you know, when you go to college, it's different. You know, you're exposed to different behaviors, different people from all different walks of life. But then I would say when I was about to graduate, uh, I didn't do well. I failed out of school. I had a child on the way. Um, so so that right there, it was a not a and it was I'm not going to say it was a stain. It was a stain in the community that I came from. You know what I mean? People, they might not have said anything, but I felt, you know, what it is, the feelings that, you know what I mean, of how people felt about me. But my parents, they always loved me. They was always there for me. Um, they always gave me a soft pillow to land on,
Mm.
even if it was a hard conversation. They always gave me some safety. So you know, I mean, I think that was key, you know. But it's the external, you know, more so than the internal. For some people, when you come from dysfunction, you know, it's more so internally. So it might be internally with yourself, internally in your house. But now for me, it was more so external, how people saw me, and then that affected how I saw myself.
Woo! Oh my, we could drop the mic. You didn't shut the stage down on us right here. Like, you know, like really, Al, can we wait for the juice? Can we wait for the gems? So if you just tuned in, you're tuned into Men Hurt Too, and I'm here with Alfuquan Hardy, and he is really dropping gems. So I would advise you right now to get your notebook because we are not here just to have a simple conversation. We are here to
Yeah.
leave somebody with a solution or a resolution or a nugget that's going to help them move forward. And I just wanted people to understand that there are healthy two parent homes because a lot of
Hmm.
times we look for trauma and dysfunction to get entertainment. And I just want black people to realize that there are two parent homes. There are two black people that can get along and have longevity in a relationship still to this day. We think back to our grandparents, but I was so excited to have you on because I've heard stories of, you know, men who had just their mom, single mom, or the father
Hmm.
never showed up. And I also wanted people to understand that just because there's a two parent home, that the
Hmm.
child is an individual and there will be external things and things that you'll have to go through. So being that your parents are in a long relationship and they will be until death do them part because I know them and I
Yes.
love them. They are like some amazing people. Like seriously, they have taken on a community and they are like mom and dad to the community. And I love
Yeah.
that. So was there pressure for you or is there still pressure for you when it comes to relationships as far as marriage is concerned and dating is concerned? Is there a level of, oh no, you know, if my relationship doesn't work, I'm failing because my parents have this?
Um, That's a good question. I mean, for me, it's a process, right? Um, so like I said, you know, and I'm going to walk through my story real quick.
Go ahead.
So had children out of wedlock, had two. My and I'm currently divorced. So my ex wife, she had a child before we got together. She had them young. So that's three children that we had, you know, taken care of, and you know, it was just it was a lot. Like, you know, you go from college to like just jumping into fatherhood, right? Um, and not necessarily even the process of dating and getting to know who my ex wife and everything like that. So it was just a lot, right? I think, and I want to take a step back because I was a little sheltered, right? I was blessed in that area, but you know, it's you need some experience, and or if not just experience, you need somebody who comes from a different environment who can help you. Take steps like like all right, you might not need to be doing this and this and this right now. You know what I mean? But I mean, I think when you're a certain age, you kind of feel as though you know a lot. You have everything kind of together. As an educator, you sometimes you talk to some people, some kids, and they feel like they got the world all figured out, right? So I mean, and the truth of the matter is, for me, um, I might have listened to you, but I still was going to do what it is that I wanted to do. You know what I mean? So I think so I had to learn, right? I had to learn, and it was a it was a major learning lesson having three children. Really four because I have four children now. I have three boys and a daughter, and throughout my 20s, right? So it was I mean, I went straight from not really dating anybody to being a whole family man, right?
Mm,
So that was a process. Then in my 30s, I got divorced, and then I started to date. So it was kind of like a reverse. So I mean, so where guys are at, I just turned 40 last year. So where guys are at, when they're just getting a family, it's like I kind of I understand that process, right? I understand the family process, and then I had to double back and I had to understand the dating process. So that's been a journey. Um, but it's been a good journey because now I can help married men and people that are dating, right? So because I've experienced both. So I think in that, to answer your question, um the pressure that came from dating, and I didn't really have any because it was, or let me say, it was different because I just got out of a marriage, right?
right.
So I had to reacclimate myself. I had to understand what it is that I like, who like what type of like woman I think that compliments me and I compliment her. So it was different, but I was a little bit more mature. I had a little bit more self awareness. I had to heal from the broken heartedness of the divorce. So I mean, it was a process. It was a process, but it's a great process to because I'm able to help. I'm able to help brothers who like just recently. I had two brothers who are struggling in their marriage, and they at that 19-year mark. You know what I mean? And that's when brothers hit that not brothers, but marriages kind of hit a bump, a strain. You know what I mean?
Yep.
and and one thing I told them, is that you have to exhaust each and every option that you have for the sake of not just yourself, but for yourself, for your wife, and also for the babies that's looking at you. You
Mm,
know, so it's a process. It's a process, and being divorced is tough. You know what I mean? Because the truth of the matter is for me is that I miss my children, not seeing them on a day to day basis because I'm so hands on with other people's children. I'm a teacher, like, you know what I mean, just by nature. So it's like I want to take life lessons and be able to impart it into them on a day to day basis. So it's tough when you're there but you're not there.
yes. Wow. Wow. That's eye opening because sometimes we think that, the divorce happens and the man goes on and he's the lucky one. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because we really think, like, because we the mother, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm a single mom.
Hmm.
We in the house with the kids. We need a babysitter. We can't go live freely the way we want to. Men go and start start another family because not because you want to start another family and disregard the one you have, but because life goes on. So a
Hmm.
lot of times we think, look at him, he get to go and live his life. But you just made a point of, I miss my children. So can you talk a little bit about that so we can understand from the outside looking in, how that feels as a Black man who is not in the home with his children?
Uh, yeah, that's a good question. I think so for some, you got to think about when it comes to divorce, it's just tough, right? But you got to think about the genesis of why did you choose, and I'm going to get to the children, but why did you
Right.
choose the person that you had these children with, right? Like, what, was it because she looked good? Was it because, you know, like what is there a purpose? Is there a purpose? A lot of times, and I try to talk to my sons about this. you know as good as sex is, there is a purpose for sex. Ultimately, it feels good, but it's about reproduction, right? It's about, and you're reproducing your seed, you're reproducing who you are. Now, if you're not reproducing who you are into the right soil, now you have a problem, because that person that you're reproducing into doesn't necessarily know how to nurture what it is what you reproduce.
Oh,
So
I'm
so
leaving. I'm leaving, Al. I'm getting out of here now.
so 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 now we have to, and this is where I think we struggle as men, is that we don't know who to choose, how to choose, um and we don't understand that process, right? And why, and the reason why, because ultimately, having children is about yourself, is about your legacy. So so that's tough when you make the wrong choice. And now the question is when you make the right choice, how do you go through that process of untangling the entanglement? You know what I mean? Like so that's where that healing, that self-awareness. But I think from a spiritual perspective, God honors marriage, right? God honors your choice, right? So there's a grace that happens when you do get married, and but you got to stop fighting. And I'm talking about individually. You got to stop fighting yourself. Like, you got to stop saying, "Well, I made this wrong choice." So you made this choice. You know what I mean? And you have to, like I said, exhaust every option, to work it out. Now, if it doesn't work out, then God is going to give you a exit plan, right? You will have an exit plan. He'll give you that type of grace. So for some women, like you said, you look at the man and you say, man, what happened here? Sometimes, you know, God is giving both of you guys the exit plan. It's just on our perspective, how we look at it, right? The other part of it is having community. You have to have community. Now, what does community look like? You have to have sisters that hold you accountable, right? That helps you out. They don't let you go with the nonsense, and the same thing with brothers, right? And sometimes women, uh, they they have friends, but they don't really have friends that hold them accountable. And what I mean by accountable is sometimes when you have children, you feel like you could do everything yourself, right? Like, women need a team. You need a team, like, to help you with babysitting, or to, like, even if it's some money, I mean, so you get money from your ex, but even if it's, like I'm saying, a babysitter, you know what I mean? Like, if
Right.
you need a babysitter, a constant babysitter, so you might not have one, but you need some help in those areas. You need somebody who can help you from a therapeutic perspective. You need a spiritual perspective. You need somebody who can help you physically, and that's the same thing with men, right? Um, Men, we all of us need these type of things. Excuse me, because I'm here at work, so excuse the phone.
It's
Um,
okay.
but I think those are four type of things that we kind of need. You need somebody from a spiritual perspective, somebody who can help you, like, therapeutically, somebody who can help you to understand financially, what to do when you get money, um, and then You also just need somebody who's just going to be there and there for you, that ride or die, I kind of call a person that you could laugh with, who could sit with you and in those moments of pain.
Wow. And you talked about brokenheartedness, of healing from
Yes,
brokenheartedness. So many
yes,
times we think that only women are emotional in a breakup. Like we
uh
think
huh,
like we sitting out, we the only one sitting at home crying. What does the process of going through a divorce look like from your perspective, and you just speaking from your truth? Because we think that men, they break up with us, they move on, and they don't care. I just
hmm.
need to know, is there is there such thing as a man having a broken heart?
Of course, of course. I think what it might looks different. It might look different, right? For men, for us, sometimes we get angry, or so it's two extremes. I've seen two extremes. It's either we get extremely angry, or not, and sometimes not extremely, but we get anger. Anger, rises up, or we shut down. Um, so what brokenheartedness really looks like, when you see a man just kind of get in his cave, get quiet, get uh, isolated and insulated. You kind of see that he's kind of that's like the forms of depression, right? So you kind of see that with our brothers, you know and then what happens is that they kind of gravitate to what feels good, the temporary, what feels good. It could be another woman, it could be sex, it could be pornography, it could be food, it could be alcohol, so is and you'll see them doing that in two forms, either by themselves or with people who don't hold them accountable, who
Oh,
just kind of use it in the form of fun, like, you know what I mean, like that it kind of kicks into I know I have like men are dope, but into that dopamine, like it makes them feel good temporarily. So you have that, right? And then the anger, like, they get extremely eh, frustrated, and they don't know how to articulate what they're saying. So, so they might punch a wall, or they might just say or lash out, and it might not even be at you, right? It might be, in different areas, so we have to learn how to curb that aggression, curb that both areas. Like, we can't shut down, and we can't get too emotional, you know what I mean? Now, so anger looks different in men and in women. A lot of times it's more so verbally, but for men, it at a certain point it might become. I'm not talking towards somebody, but it could become physical. So they might be working out, like if they're overdoing it, you know what I mean, and it's not a balance, you know what I mean. So, and I love to work out. I love to work out, and I think there's a blessing in it, but I think we have to have a balance, so I think, men, we need all of those areas too. We need, therapy. We need somebody to help pray with us, help us to meditate, help us to breathe. We need somebody to work out with. A lot of times we, for and this is what in my book I talk about movement, right? And like, if you're trying to connect with the man, working out is a great way to connect with them. If you're walking with them, jogging with them, cycling with them, playing a sport, because men, a lot of times, like how I'm looking at you on the screen, vulnerability is time. It's tough for us to look at each other in the eye and have that vulnerability. But if I'm walking side by side with you, I still feel connected. You know what I mean? So in that connection, now after we work out, so in the locker room is some of the best conversations that we have, is because we feel like, number one, you're a part of our team. We feel like you're working with us. We feel like we're being collaborative. You know what I mean? So these are ways that we could definitely help each other. Movement, working together, and things of that nature.
wow. So for a man who is listening right now, who has just broke up, who just, the relationship didn't work out, and he is lost in it. right? He's doing all of
Mhm,
those things that you said, woman with another woman or drinking excessively. What would you say to him as a coach? Like, what would you say to him as a black man, as a friend, as an accountability partner? What would you say to that man right now whose heart is broken, where society says, just pick up, go, keep going, don't worry about it. That you a man, man up. What would you say to
mhm.
him?
I would say stop. I'll just say stop. Like, and not saying stop your activity, but take a pause. Like, take a stop and then talk. Like, let's try to figure this out. I would ask him some questions and get into a safe environment, right? A safe environment might feel uncomfortable at first, because you're not used to it. Some men are not used to having safety. Sometimes uncomfortability for some men is safety.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So so I so I think having a safe environment, some balance, some stability. I think that's necessary at this time. So you need somebody to talk to on a regular basis until you can move beyond this space. So I would say, like I said before, get those four type of people and then reach out to them on a constant basis. But the truth of the matter is for a man is that you have to be truthful. You have to be truthful. You have to have somebody, and that's where safety comes into place. Is that you have to find somebody that you could be truthful. You could be able to divulge all your secrets, everything that you have, that you went through with, and that person who was able to hold your secret and not tell everybody, not make you feel bad. That's what safety is. So you need to find a safe, hopefully it's a brother, if not is a therapist, if not, a lot of times, the only time us as men have safety is with our women, like the one that we have, like, and we kind of emotionally dump everything on her, and then she's trying to figure out her stuff, if you have children, her children, and then she's taking on all of your issues, right? So as a man, if you're and you're breaking up, you know, you lost, for some, you might have lost your best. I want to say best friend, but the person, your best confidant. The
right.
person who you tell everything to. You told about, your daddy secrets, your mommy secrets. You might have told her everything. You don't want to necessarily do that next time. You want to have different people who you could feel safe with and who could hold your secrets in confidence.
Wow, that is so good. If you just tuned in, you're tuned into Men Hurt Too, a safe space where men get to share their truth. We are here with Al Hardy, who is a life coach and who is here just to share his truth from his experiences, through his education, through his knowledge from his parents, and just through his, the different conversations he's had with different men. Because we are here to really learn about Black men and that they are human beings first. What is one
Mhm.
of the biggest misconceptions about Black men? What do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions?
Um, I think that it's a couple. I mean, I think that number one, in society, is either we're hardcore, like, there is no vulnerability. That's one thing. Or that, and black men are fetish, like, looked at as a fetish. You know what I mean? Like, so we're looked at as super angry, aggressive. Like, if you look at some of our children, um, uh, like, if they're 12 years old, I was teaching a child, right? He was in sixth grade. He was around 11 years old. I'm 6'1", around. I'm at that time. Let's just say I was 215. I'm a little bit bigger now, but he was sixth grade, 11 years old, and he was like around 5'8", 5'9", right? And I would tell him to do something, and then sometimes he would just be like, no, or he would, and then I would look at him. I would look at his height, and in my mind, I'm like, you're tall. You know what I mean? And I had to realize that you're a baby. You're 11 years old. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, we're looked at like that. We're looked at as we're older than we truly are, right?
Wow.
And we put that on our children. We put that type of uh, adult type of mentality. Like we talk to our children like they're adults, like they've been through 40 years of experience, 30 years of experience like we have.
Wow.
So um we can't do that. We can't do that. So and then when it comes to our boys, it's kind of 10 times because we know what they're going to face. So now it's like we have to put them in man type of situations. So we tell them to man up, you know, and we tell them to do your push-ups. And I'm with all of that, right? But what is the reason you're telling them to do that? So now when they come in different environments, right? They look sometimes they're taller than, we have a beautiful bronze skin, you know what I mean? So people look at us in two ways. They're either intimidated or there's something that they want to be with, you know what I mean, in different environments. So we just want to be looked at as human. You know what I mean? We
Right.
want I want that 11-year-old to be an 11-year-old.
Right.
I want that 12-year-old to be a 12-year-old. I want that 15-year-old to be a 15-year-old, you know. So and I play basketball. The only time, sometimes you want that child, you want to be a child, you want to be a teenager outside of sports also, you know.
Right.
So I think we have to start looking at our young men as as young, as youthful. Look at them at the age that they're at. We're going to give them the game, but let them have the experience. Let them make mistakes. Sometimes we feel as though our young men can't make mistakes. So
Do you feel like in society that you can't make mistakes as a black man?
oh man, uh, it's two pronged, right? I think it's depending on where you come from, right? Like for me, like the background that I come from with my parents, I feel as though it was tough. Like I can't make mistakes, right? Um, and as you become more and more of an adult, you can't, you know what I mean? Because the risk is too high. You might lose your job. You know what I mean? You might if you make the wrong turn. So if you go into a suburban area, you might run into the police. If you run into the hood, you know what I mean? You might run into your own brothers who might feel as though you're disconnected, and or you might, they might try to come at you a different way. They might try to you know what I mean?
Wow, yeah,
so
that's deep.
so so you have multiple layers, right? So where do we, like, go back to safety? Where do we feel safe at, right? Then at our jobs, uh depending on your company, uh you might be the only black man there. So so and sometimes they might not have been exposed to black people and then black men, you know what I mean? Or if they have been, it's only been through hip hop or sports, right? So that's a good common denominator. But at the same time, uh we can have more than that type of conversation, that surface conversation.
Right.
So it's layered. It's layered on so many levels. So making a mistake, there is some grace, in certain. It depends on where you're at, though. You know what I
Right.
mean? And we've been groomed and disciplined in a way where some of our black brothers are. We have to learn how to code switch. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's a tough task. I mean, I think it need brothers like from a different generation to kind of teach us how to, you know translate into each and every area of our environments that we're in. So making a mistake, it's tough. We do we you know when we do make a mistake, we do feel it. And then at the home, because when your wife, she like women, you do things at an excellent level. You know what I mean? Or even if you don't, you could talk it where you could make us feel it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but in general, you do things in an excellent way. So, um, so when we make a mistake, we need that grace. We need that grace. But then on the other side, brothers, um, you have to encourage yourself. You have to be patient with yourself. You have to and you have to be able to articulate ourselves. A lot of times we're not able to stand up for ourselves. You know, we're just looked at as men who just do this. You know what I mean? Like, it's not really a conversation. We have to teach our young men how to articulate themselves. So that's a skill set too. Because and I could kind of go back to my education, like
Yes.
there's been young men where if they're acting up, you just give them something to do to keep them busy. You know
Right.
what I mean? But we're not really talking them through why you shouldn't be doing this or how do you feel. You know what I mean? So men, I think you have to have some patience with yourself. If you feel hurt, be like, whoa, whoa, that hurt me. Let's not, we're not going to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
You have to be able to stand up for yourself in a polite way.
Right. Right. I love that. You said something really, really good just now, and that
Hmm.
there's really no place where Black men feel safe. That's hurtful for me. Like, that hurts me to hear you say that. Like, the
Hmm.
level of safety, if you make a wrong turn, and this for me hit me because it's physically, mentally, and emotionally. That if you make a wrong turn in the wrong neighborhood, it's you got to feel like somebody might kill me. If you make a
Hmm.
wrong turn in the hood where you come from, that's
Hmm.
drastically somebody might think you in the wrong hood and attack you. So that safety piece is so important, and that just hit me really hard to think that mentally y'all have to go around as Black men just not feeling safe. And we're not just talking about police brutality. A lot of times we talk about safety
Hmm.
like, oh, we scared the cops are going to kill us. But it's so much more to that. And I just love that. And I really think that you should do a piece on that somewhere, the safety of the Black man. And I'm, like I
Hmm.
said, outside of police brutality. What has been one of your biggest disappointments?
Mm. Uh, man, that's a good one. I think for me, not finishing school. I finished. I went back and finished. So I think one thing I have learned is like everything that I've had that feeling or of disappointment, I've always tried to rectify. Um, but not finishing school on time, I think that really affected my process and career in the career field, right?
Wow.
Because even um, because I failed out like right with a semester left. You know what I mean? And my mom, it disappointed the family. And at that time, like I said earlier, I was just in my mind. I was like, I had a barbershop, so I was like, I'm just gonna go with business. I ain't even gonna worry about it. You know, but it's choices. Go back to choices. Um, I went through 3.5 years of school and I should have just finished, right? So, and then, just making the right choices, not making it based on society. A lot of times we get so caught up in our culture that we make the choices that seems right for for the look, you know what I mean? For instead of understanding the process. So I would say that because that kind of set me I wouldn't even say set me back, but uh I could have been doing both. I could have been in school. I mean, I could have been working a regular 9 to 5 and running a barbershop as opposed to, and I'm pretty good at balancing both, So I didn't really realize how much people looked at your degree until maybe like after I sold the barbershop. You know what I mean?
Right.
So so, but I think entrepreneurship is very key. So don't get it twisted. But finishing, I think, you know, whatever I my disappointments was I didn't finish when I said I was going to finish, and
Mm,
that's where I would say my biggest disappointments always happen. So I've had to learn how to think about what it is that I'm going to say. You know what I mean? And fellas, even before you make a don't make a promise. Don't make a promise that you can't keep.
mm.
You know what I mean? I would say you you over deliver, but you don't necessarily say what it is that you could completely do. You know what I mean? So you say something as it pertains to, you know, you give seeds. You know what I mean? You show more than what you say. That's what I would say. That's what
Ooh,
I would say.
that is good stuff right there. Woo! If you just tuned in, you tuned in to Men Hurt Too. And I have our guest here, Alfuquan Hardy, and we are talking about some good stuff from his truth. What has been, what are you most proud of?
Um, man, being a father, um, being a father, like I said, it's just tough, especially during the pandemic. It's been tough not being able to see them on a regular basis. So that um, seeing them, my oldest, he's in college. My second son, he's about to go to college. Um, my youngest son, he's about to be a senior in high school, and my daughter, she's about to go into high school. So I'm excited that uh, the time that I've spent has been very intentional, right? The conversations have been intentional. Um, I don't necessarily. I try to teach. You know, I try to teach. I try to do things. So if you and I want guys to understand, if you have limited time with your children, you have to be very intentional. It can't be playtime, you know, or if it is playtime, it has to be a lesson in the midst of it. You know what I mean? Or it has to be they have to feel a connection. You know, it's about those. It has to be a lesson, a connection, in that time. You know, something that they could take from that time that you spend with them. That they could take from the next week. They'd be like, "Well, my dad said this. My dad did this," or that connection where they have a deep connection with you, where it's like, man, my dad prayed for me, or this time that he was at my game, I really remember that. It's like we have to be intentional about that if we don't have that time. You know, I will also say to fathers is like to write to them, write to your children. Um, my father, and I have a book, and he wrote a letter. He wasn't able to be at one of my birthdays, right? It was 15, so he wrote a letter, and it stayed with me for the rest of my life, right? And so I wrote the book based off of this letter that he wrote for me, right? And now uh, this book that I have is really a connection that my children could kind of go back to, because I mean, I'm using it I'm not able to see them on a day to day basis, but at least they have some lessons that they can learn from me. You know what I mean? So I think we have to write to our children. You know what I mean? So I think that's key. But I'm proud of running a marathon too. Like I said, it goes back to what I just said earlier about finishing. I was able to start and finish. So that's been something that's been in my practice now. Like if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I might not tell everybody. So when I ran the marathon, I had a short amount of time to do it, but I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody because I didn't want to get, you know, man, you have this short window of preparation. I was like, I'm gonna do it, you know what I mean? And I'm gonna show you the result. So when people seen like, oh, you finished the marathon, it was one of the biggest moments of my life because there's not too many people who finish a marathon. You know what I mean? But I finished it, and that was a practice. You know, so I went back to school. I finished school. You know what I mean? I finished the marathon. Everything that I felt disappointed in, I tried to rectify and or bring some healing to those wounds, and then move on from it.
Woo! Al, listen, brother. We known each other for a long time, and I know your mother and your father, but I'm so happy that you are here today because I'm
Thank
sure that
you.
you have really help some people. Like you help me. Like we need to
Hmm.
finish. If we're gonna start something, just finish it. Even if it's
Hmm.
raggedy. You know what I'm saying? Even if you last
Hmm.
in the marathon, even if you're the last
Hmm.
person that crossed the finish line, just finish stuff. And I hope somebody heard that today. Because you don't have
Hmm.
to be disappointed with your whole life. You could go back and rectify the situation. And sometimes we live in that moment, and I always teach my clients that that's just a moment. Like you can't live in that moment forever. Like how long are you
Hmm.
going to live in the moment of that divorce? How long are you
Hmm.
going to live in the moment of the argument you had with your parents? How long are you
Hmm.
going to live in that moment? That's just a moment, and you can always go back and rectify the situation. Maybe you have to finish it a little differently, but that's
Hmm.
okay too. But I love that. I just wrote that down. Finish. I'm about to put that on my wall.
Thank you.
I'm gonna give you some words, and you just tell me what comes to mind. It could be a paragraph
Okay.
answer. It could be a one-word answer.
Okay.
Mother.
Mother, uh, we need mom. Like, uh, I mean, where would we be without our mom? Like, she's a nurturer, uh, wisdom. Wisdom. Um, and the truth of the matter is, our moms know us. They know who we are. So we have to go back and really reconnect with our moms just to and we need to have some truthful conversations with mom, right? Because sometimes mom she builds us up, but she also knows where our weaknesses are, our mistakes are, and sometimes you have to have those real conversations with mom and say, where did you see me making these mistakes at? Did you see this happening? And so we need moms. We need moms.
Yes. Manhood.
Manhood. Uh, I would say manhood, but the first thing that really came to mind is patience. um, Having patient, being patient with yourself, um, having a strategy. Um, if it's three P's as I'm thinking. So understanding your purpose, being patient with yourself, and having a plan. So, I would say those three things when it comes to manhood. Like really, and that comes with self awareness, understanding who you are. Purpose is knowing, like I said before, knowing where you want to end up at, knowing where you want to end up at, then coming back and then having a strategy on how to get there, and then being patient with yourself.
Oh, I love that. Spirituality.
Spirituality. Um, if it was another one, it would be have a prayer life. Have a prayer life. For me, I can't do this without God. Every morning I get up and pray. I pray for my protection. I pray for my family's protection. Um, I pray for, and I pray for those three P's that I operate in my purpose. That I ask God for patience. With myself. And it's mainly for myself. So, because if I'm patient with myself, I can be patient with other people. Um, and then also have a divine. I want a divine strategy. I want something that's specifically for me. You know what I mean? And so I want my blessing to be my blessing. If it bless other people, but there's something with my name on it. There's something with each and every one of our names on it. You know what I mean? And I want my blessing to be able to bless my children, to bless the people that I'm connected with. So that only comes with understanding your purpose, having a plan, and being patient. But you can't do that without like tapping in to your relationship with God. So that's like my prayer on a regular basis.
Yes, Al. Home.
Home. Uh, it goes back to safety. Like a space where you feel comfortable, safe at, um, where you can be who you truly are. Sometimes we walk into, sometimes if if you've been through a divorce, sometimes you walk into your house and you're about to enter conflict. you know and the truth of the matter is that space isn't safe because because of the contentiousness, right? So it's a practice of having peace. It's a practice of of having safety. It's These are things that's needed. Stability, you know, is needed in the home, and it might look different for other people. So those are things that I think are very needed in the home.
And the last word is forgiveness.
Forgiveness, man, forgiveness is very very important. Um, I just did something. I talked about the three things to give is one is to give up uh what give up the things that you've been that's been hindering you, right? Um, and then the other thing is to give in, meaning to invest into yourself. And the other one was to forgive. And forgiveness is really the ability to uh, to let go, to let go. Um, it might be tough. It might be tough because somebody might have hurt you. You might even hurt yourself. But I think it comes with, like I said before, patience, grace, um, and then when you understand your purpose and you understand where you're going, I think it becomes easier and easier to forgive. But at times it becomes even more difficult when the person is connected to you and they're close to you. So you that comes with knowing who you are. So forgiveness is it's a process. It's a process. My pastor said, he said, would you rather be right or you rather be reconciled? You know what I mean? And and part of forgiveness is about reconciliation. Sometimes you might not be able to reconcile with the person that you're connected to, but you can reconcile the situation with yourself, within yourself. So, forgiveness is about that patience, that grace that you want given to you.
Yes. So, final thoughts. What would you like anybody who's watching this right now, who's under the sound of your voice, to get from this time that we had together?
Um, yes, to understand, I think this pandemic for me, just recently, I would say I would want every man, woman, everybody that's listening is to pursue your purpose, to pursue your purpose. Uh, I've lost some great people. And one of my best friends, his wife, she was just talking to me and she was saying how though you have children, though you have people that you're connected to, your purpose is your purpose. And when you live out your purpose, everybody will be blessed by what it is that you have to do. So I would say that everybody, like whatever is in front of you, whatever obstacle is in front of you, you have to work through it. You figure it out. Pray, get therapy, but pursue your purpose. Pursue what you're here to do. Because at the end of the day, you want people to be blessed by your work. You want people to be blessed by what it is that you was put on this earth for. And there's a lot of people who are not here, that's not living out the fulfillment of their purpose. And so I would say each and every day, you know, spend some a hour, 30 minutes on your purpose. That's what I would say. Understanding who you are, understand why you was created to be here. And the other part too, and this could go into business, is who you're created to be connected to.
Hmm.
Because when you understand who you're connected to, who you're created to be connected to, that's when you're going to be very blessed, and that comes back to your choices.
Wow, who are you created to be connected to? Some of us are connected to the wrong folks, Al, and we don't know how to let them
Hmm.
go because oh, that been my friend since the third grade, or me and him got history. Meanwhile, back at the
Hmm.
ranch, nothing's moving. So
Yeah.
how do we? And we could go on and on, but let's talk about Black Men Are Dope first, because I don't ever want to forget that because I love this movement. Tell us
Thank
why
you.
you started Black Men Are Dope, one. Tell us about your book, and then tell us where we can find you.
Okay. So I created Black Men Are Dope, Black Women Are Dope, and Black Love Is Dope. So Black Men Are Dope, uh, and Black Women Are Dope is really the connection, right? I created it because number one, I believe in it, right? But then the other part is like how you as a woman are affirming us as a man. I created it for that because I saw a lot of times we were talking at each other and not talking to each other, right? So, so black men, uh, a lot of times when you wear that, when women wear that, they feel they feel something, and then the same thing when black men wear the black women, they sisters they feel it. You know what I mean? I've gotten letters or people have told me that they've gone on dates just because of the shirt. You know what I mean? So I mean, so it's about that connection, about how you genuinely people really feel that. I've had people they've gotten married in the shirts. So it's really about that us learning because this is just one step of the process. It's us learning how to talk to each other, how to
Yeah.
uplift each other. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
now, so it's a tool. I wanted to use it as a tool, um, and then so that could create other conversations, and that's what I've been trying to do is create other conversations where that leads us to healing, but also us to connecting and us growing our community in a healthy way.
Yes.
Um, the book is called Jack of All Trades, Master of One. And I wrote that book, like I said, it started with a letter from my father. Um, and then coming up in the culture that we come up in, I come up from in that '90s era. So when you see like the moguls, they had the clothing line, they had the record label, they had it seemed like they had a lot of things going on, and that's what we aspire to be like. We wanted to do everything, but it says jack of all trades but master of one. I had to master myself. It's one thing that you have to choose first, then you can branch off to everything else. So what is that one thing that's going to get your foot in the door? What is that one thing that you can master? And I think that comes with having the skill, that has comes with studying, it comes with and having a strategy. So it comes with all of that, and the book is kind of help you to guide you into all those areas.
Wow. And where can everybody find you?
So you can find me, Mr. Al Hardy, on Instagram, Mr. Al Hardy on Facebook, on LinkedIn also, and then my website is www.mralhardy.com. You can buy the merch. There's a lot of things that we have coming up. I want to say this though, Trey. I do have this coming up. I got this thing called Camp Black Love, and that's going to. I'm excited about this is because I talk about movement, right? So we're going to set. We're going to have two sessions. We're going to have a session for single people, and then we're going to have a session for couples. And this is going to be like a fitness boot camp. And in this fitness boot camp, is like we're going to learn how to connect um, in a healthy way. Number one, with ourselves, and then if you're in a relationship with your partner, because a lot of men, you go to seminars, you go to workshops, you know what I mean, but we don't know how to apply it. So this will be a good way for us to learn how to apply it. This will be a good way for us to learn how to talk to each other, how to touch each other in a healthy way. This will be a good way. It'll be a good. We're going to do it in the morning times on Saturdays. It'll be a good way to have a date. So it's going to be multiple things that it'll be good for. Hopefully, we're looking to have multiple sessions. There's going to be like fitness boot camp. We're going to do some yoga. And it's going to be multiple sessions. We're going to do a protection type of session, and that's going to be like self defense, right? So if you're with your lady, you learn how to have that situational awareness. So
Right.
we're going to be doing multiple things, and this is going to be throughout the summer. So just look forward, look for that, and I'm excited about this.
I'm excited too. Okay, guys, so make sure you follow Al Hardy for this boot, for this camp, this, because we need this. Like we really need this. We need conflict resolution, because it's not always about a fight. Sometimes, like you said, it's mental. We need that yoga to center
Hmm.
ourselves. We need this physical activity, because we as a people, we physical people, and if we don't get that out in a positive way, it comes out in a negative manner, and we don't need that. So
Yeah.
thank you, Al, so much. I really appreciate you. You have dropped some gems, and we have to do this again. So thank
Okay.
you guys for tuning into Men Hurt Too. We honor your time, and we thank you for being here with us, because to be in your life is a privilege. So remember
Yes.
what I tell you at the end of all my broadcasts: you deserve the best. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve the best. Now go get it. Peace and blessings. And remember Psalm 147:3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Peace and blessings. I will see you guys next time.